our final voter contact piece will be going to create a phone bank. To create a phone bank, we're going to need a list also. We have options here. We can create a new list. You can always load another list you have saved. We're just going to create one real quick. Make a list Travis. Again, select my precinct. And I'm also going to pick, see, the state party has created phone targets for us. People you should absolutely call if you're making calls. I'm going to pick my infrequent voters. Just don't make it to the polls. 144 of them. We're going to call and let them know it's election time. I'm going to go ahead and run that search. It's 144 folks. It's a pretty manageable phone bank. I'm going to set it up by hitting calls. Hitting the calls button, set up gives us our options. The option we're going to want is set up a virtual phone bank list. The other options are all options you have to pay for. Setting up a virtual phone bank is free. And then it's going to give us options. It's going to ask us if we want to save our list as a static list or save and use the search to make the phone bank. Now, what's the difference here? If we use the static list to make the phone bank is always going to contain this same list of people. But if I save and use the search criteria, it'll update itself because people move in and out of your precinct. Maybe you built in or hide all the people who voted during early vote or something like that. Well, then you loaded it. Each time you loaded it, it would give you a fresh set of people who haven't voted, or in this case, it'll give me anybody else who meets the infrequent voter target who moves in and out of the precinct. So I'm going to do that. It's going to ask me to create a folder or select a folder. Remember, I always recommend naming folders after the election cycle and the products they will contain. So save your lists in list folders, save your phone banks in phone bank folders, save your block walks in block walk folders. Infrequent voters as of 13 March. Based on this set of voter targets, we are going to save it. You can also create a description. I do recommend using descriptions. I'm not going to create one here for speed purposes, but descriptions absolutely are helpful for identifying between lists. I was going to make you name your phone bank. We're going to call phone bank precinct 471 infrequent voters. You can give the phone bank itself a description if you want to describe it to your volunteers. You got to select an end date for it. It has to be in the future, but not too far in the future. It will absolutely stop working as of the end date. The next area, sharing, I absolutely recommend you publish it to openvpb.com. By default, it's clicked on not visible. Reason why you should publish it is because it will give you a link that you can use to access the phone bank in one click. You can use an event scheduler to call people and schedule them for an event you're having, be it a volunteer block walk or a precinct chair meeting or something. When the event this happens, this isn't an advanced class if that will be available later in the cycle. If you want to use it, go ahead and shoot me an email. We'll see if we can put some time on the calendar to go over how it works. Additional settings, you can make your phone bank only work between certain hours of the day. You can say callers are only allowed to make calls for a certain amount of times. You can only have a certain amount of contacts, maybe. There's all sorts of options here. Distribute voters by the zip codes. I do recommend that whatever it comes set up as, that you change householding to show also in household. I believe by default it comes as do not display also in household. And the reason why is because you never know who answers the phone. When you call one voter and maybe their wife answers or their kids answer or something like that, maybe they're registered voters too. You can make voter contact and figure out what's going on in the house, but it won't be marked properly because you can't see who else lives in the house. So I always recommend hitting that. You can set up other options, but those are the options I say you should really focus on. You can also put in a note of who's the contact if you're having trouble with your name, phone number, and email. Also, here on the right hand side, you can select which voter information is stated on the phone bank. Like here, the more you add to it, the more that should be visible when you actually get into the phone bank interface. Once you're happy with what's available, go ahead and hit save and preview. It's going to save your phone bank and it's going to load up a quick preview of how it works. Here's what your voters should see when they log into your phone bank. They should see the voter's name, phone number. I couldn't get a hold of this voter, or the script we're using to contact the voter, the questions included, and the criteria we want to include on the voter information here on the right hand side. If we're happy with it, just go ahead and close out and make sure we copy the link and give it to our volunteers, or we can make changes to the information. Maybe we decided that the contact history takes up too much room and we want to remove that portion of off the voter contact sheet. So go ahead and unclick that. I'm going to update it by hitting save and preview again. It's going to save my phone bank and then it's going to show me it one more time what the preview looks like. As you can see, it took the voter contact port, the contact history off. We decided that was too much information. Anyway, when we're happy with it, go ahead and copy this link. This link absolutely is your phone bank that, and simply giving it to your volunteers, they can click the link and bam, be ready to start making phone calls. Now, if they don't have an action ID, it will prompt them to make one, simple email and name. But if they have their action ID and they're ready to go, they can just click get started and start making phone calls. Get started and bam, here you are. Same information again that we talked about. Here you can see that there are other members in the household. So we called this phone number and maybe Tyler answered, no, or Brenda answered. Depending on whichever one answered, we can make the contact. They told us they were strong Democrats. They are going to vote in the primary. Count on the volunteer. Whatever the answer, we gotta make sure we save and move on to the next call, or when we're done making calls, we hit stop making calls. But this is your phone bank. Now, the phone bank that you make using Van's tools to make voter contact products, these phone banks you will have to physically dial the numbers. There are crossovers where you can click the phone number and make the call from your computer. Like on a Mac, this might make the call using FaceTime. On a Chromebook, it could potentially make the phone call using, Google Voice or something to that effect. But that is how we make a virtual phone bank product to conduct voter contact within our precinct. And those are the three methods of voter contact: mailers, block walks, and virtual phone banks.